ask everyone to stand, and we'll open with prayer. Fathers, once again, we come together, Lord, to discuss the business of the county. We thank you, Lord, for all your blessings and your privileges to take part of these decision makings for our citizens. We ask now, Lord, that you bless this meeting, guide and direct us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we thank you. We will call our County Commissioner meeting for July the 15th, 2013 to order, and we will reconvene from our workshop. And the first item on our agenda would be the approval of minutes, but we don't have any. We do have an agenda adjustments. First adjustment would be under item 4. And we would like to add C under 3, the Gates County Republican Party presentation of a contract to the commissioners for consideration. There are no other changes. We'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the first item would be our unannounced delegations. Do we have any? Ms. Carol Witt.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wasn't planning on coming tonight and speaking, but I thank you for getting the Animal Welfare Committee together. But we have some problems. I feel like the committee has been stacked. There's actually only 3 of us that I can honestly say are animal advocates. That would be myself, Dana Goheen, which is the shelter director, and Dr. Peggy Johnson, which is a veterinarian here in the county. The rest of the folks, we've got one which, I don't mean to step on any toes, but was actually a breeder of beagles. As an animal advocate, we don't even want to hear anything about breeding because we've got so many dogs dying in shelters and ending up in shelters that's just horrid. We've got a conflict of interest with Glenda Parker from the Sheriff's Department being on the committee. She is Al Parker's wife. She defends Al Parker every time something comes up. He's working so hard. He's trying to, get everything done. He just can't get everything done. He gets called away, yada, yada, yada. He works 8 to 4, and the deputies take over when he's not there, which my phone calls, that's not the case. It does not take place. I actually found a dog Tuesday, and she's in rescue. But just this past week, another starved dog in our county that was chained up and actually with a rope and was able to chew through her rope. So she's safe right now, but that call did not get answered. I am told that Billy Wynn is the person to call when messages aren't received. 3 and 4 times, folks, and people are still not getting anywhere out here in the county with animal control. I think it's in the best interest of the committee that Al Parker's wife is not on the committee. Kevin McGinnis, his wife's a county employee. Why is he there? He doesn't have any advocate input as far as I can see. I want somebody, and like I told y'all when I stood here before you months ago with compassion that actually feels the pain of the animals in this county that are still being neglected, still suffering, and our phone calls still aren't being answered. I'll call and say there's a dog tied up on a 4x4 post in the middle of a yard with no shelter. Al goes out and gives him food and water. Where's the shelter? I mean, it's still, something's not right here. I know there was a lot of people that applied, and I know there was a lot of compassionate, animal-loving people that applied. I want to know where they're at. And Commissioner Owens, I need you back. I mean, I need your support. I don't know why you're not there, but I need your support because the three of us are not getting anywhere. I mean, we're not getting it anywhere at all. There still has to be humane education going on in this county. One of our deputies, and I'm not going to mention any names, drove up to the Family Dollar with his dog in the car, left his dog in the car in the heat. It's 90 degrees outside. In 3 minutes, that car can be 125 degrees and a dog will die. Heat stroke, brain damage. It's a horrible way to die. That's our sheriff's department, y'all. We need help. I mean, we need help. And I'm asking you to either clean everybody out and start over with actually advocates, animal advocates. I don't want a dog breeder. I don't want Al Parker's wife. I don't want people that don't share the concern for welfare for the animals in this county. Commissioner Owens, the first meeting you were at, you said zero tolerance. We are going to make Gates County zero tolerance. Yes, but I need your support. I need you there. I need you helping me, because if that's what you really feel, then I've got to have your help, because these animals, they're still suffering. They are still crying out for help, and I am one voice, and I cannot do it alone. So that is my concern tonight. I actually was given some recommendations from the committee, but it's not on the agenda, so I'm not even going to go over that. But we are getting nowhere, and I need help.
All right, we thank you. I believe the purpose of the advisory committee was to document and establish a procedure for handling animal abuse, so forth. I'm not sure that it was designed to take immediate action on issues that we find right away, but John, you got any input on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just to echo your words, the committee was designed to look at several things. They were tasked at looking at the ordinance as one thing. They were tasked to look at the animal shelter operations as another, as well as other issues such as tethering and some of the immediate concerns. But they are not an ordinance-making body. Their recommendations do need to come back to you all, and I believe there's a process to do that.
Right, and I think that's the intent, is to put this together so that it can be implemented if we see issues and needs to be addressed. You know, the committee is not authorized per se to go out and start doing that, but to get that document, that ordinance designed so that we can actually address those the way they should be. So, do we have a chairman of the, I mean, has it gone through the structure of a chairman of?
I'm actually the secretary, and the chairman is Doug Bailey.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The items that the committee has come up with, I have a copy right here. Not going to go through it tonight or anything, but I did want to tell Carol that I have this document. I've met with the sheriff today, and he and I have reviewed every item on here, and I've heard his comments on that. And I'll be taking those comments back to the committee. The committee is designed to, I'm going to be a little redundant here, but the committee is set up as an ad hoc committee, which means they'll be should be addressing what they're charged with for the prescribed period of time, and bring back ideas, solutions to issues, and put those before the board for our deliberation and approval of, or adjustment with the proper channels, taking the law into consideration at the same time. I would encourage, it's hard for a committee to work when we're staying at the podium and calling out people's names and say, I don't want to work with this person. That's not productive. And it certainly shouldn't come to the podium without the chairman bringing that information without a vote. I mean, if there's to be any adjustment on that committee, then there should be a vote and one voice, one person bringing that voice. So I want to discourage any, going any further with that type of thing, because that is not productive and is counterproductive, in fact. But that committee, has a large task ahead of it. I had some great conversation with the sheriff today on his thoughts on these items, and again, I'll be sharing those with the committee.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Owens. Anyone else?
Could we, based on a couple of things there, and with no names, as Jack said, but have a table of dates, 1, 2, 3, and I believe it's 9 members, right? Is that correct?
I think we put 9 members in.
And just put an X mark in the table for the date of the participation on date 1, date 2, date 3. No names, just number 1 represents Jack, number 2 represents Carol, number 3 represents Doug, and just have them across there so we can see those.
Like an attendance sheet.
Yeah, an attendance sheet with no names, just make sure, obviously, 1 is 1 all the time.
Would actually have 2 that they've not come back.
No, that's what I'm looking for.
All right.
They just came to the first meeting and we've not seen them back.
And
So we almost could not have a meeting this past Thursday.
Could you do that and
Well,
send it
this
to?
is actually a matter for that chairperson to address.
and we may want to get him back. One of the things we need to address is Lulu has officially resigned, and we do need to replace her. We're going to do that August meeting?
Yes, sir, you can.
All right, we'll do that in the August meeting. We'll need to replace Lulu. She resigned. Commissioner Jernigan?
I'd like to say something. Carol, we didn't stack the deck, where I certainly don't feel that way. We tried to put people in there from different aspects of the county. And you mentioned one of the gentlemen that was on there that was, his wife works for the county. He's an avid hunter. And I think we need some hunters on there. I had a problem this week, and I called the sheriff, and I talked to him about this. And there was a stray dog that had taken up at my house. And the sheriff's department did send out Al, and he did come and pick up the dog. And I told the sheriff in my conversation, I hated the call. The dog was a nice dog.
But Commissioner Jernigan, that was because of who you were.
It might have been. It might have been. But the dog was coming, gotten that day. And I'll say this, that in talking with the lady that answered the phone, she told me she told me something that I need to talk to the sheriff about, and that's as far as I'm gonna go with it. But the dog was picked up that day, and I told the sheriff that I hated to even call about this dog, because the dog had a collar, and it had a flea collar. It had been being taken care of, but it had been at my house for 2 weeks. We put some items on Facebook trying to find out whose dog it was. We called people in our neighborhood that we thought it was their dog. It wasn't. And I told the sheriff, and he's sitting right back there right now. I said, I hate to call about the dog going to the pound because it's a nice dog. It's very friendly. It's child friendly. I had my grandchildren there at the house. The dog, they played with it. But I don't want a dog at my house at this time in my life. I have had them in the past, don't get me wrong. I think a world of dogs, but I'm to the age now, I don't want a dog that I've got to take care of because they're sort of like children that never grow up sometimes.
I understand the hunting part, but I just feel like that, and I hate to call out names,
Yeah.
because I stood before you as a resident, as a
Right.
concerned
Yeah.
resident tonight.
All right, I want to give the commissioners just a chance to respond. We didn't want to get any dialogue at this
So-
particular time. But
I still say I do not feel like the deck was stacked against the animal rights. So that's how I feel about it.
yeah, Commissioner Hoffler?
I think when we were selecting people for the committee, we tried to get the shareholders in various aspects, not only people who are passionate about animals, but people who had the hunting community, farm represented. You know, there are a lot of stakeholders in any type of, as we're looking at our animal ordinances, and that's what I thought the committee was going to do. It's just not for one certain area. It was to look over all the ordinances dealing with animals. And we need to hear from the stakeholders in all those areas.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopper. All right, the next item on our agenda would be our announced delegations. Mr. Michael Elms, I believe, is that Dr. Elms? Elam, all right.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much, commissioners, and to our city manager, Mr. Mendenhall. I haven't had an opportunity to meet each of you individually, but hopefully I'll get an opportunity to do that. My name is Michael Elam, and I'm the new president of Roanoke Chowan Community College, and I am delighted to be in the community. I am perfectly aware that this is not our service area, but I have also placed a call in to Dr. Dietermeyer so she know that when the cat's away, the mouse will play. She's been out all week, and I told her, though, that I was going to be over here to address the commission. And I really have three reasons for being here tonight. First is just as a matter of introduction, and I don't know if you all know anything about me, but I've been in this business about 32 years in both the university and the community college setting. I prefer the community college. I believe that is the mission that God has placed me on this earth to be adamantly after and to try to make Roanoke Chowan Community College the best community college on planet Earth. It's going to be a world-class institution if I've got anything to do about it. And we're going to need your help. I have most recently come here from Louisiana by way of Texas. I grew up in the Northeast in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I was born in Vance County in Henderson, North Carolina. And my family still have some property in and around the Lewisburg area, and we still have family there. So I'm actually coming home and have a vested interest in doing whatever I can to help to bolster the image, bolster the community of Northeast North Carolina. And I believe that right now is probably the best time to be here in this area because we've got the attention of the state, we've got attention of many people to try to do what we can to help bring this area back and bring it up to the rest of the state and beyond. So tonight, the second thing I would like to do is just to leave with you some information because you all have been supportive of the college, even though we are not based in your service area. And the last thing that I needed to do was to come and say thank you. I want to thank you for the support that you have provided. We know that these are tough times for all folks all across this nation, all of the cities and towns and counties. And we know that, that our support has been reduced this year, but we certainly understand, and most of all, we appreciate what you have done. And we hope to look forward to working with you and doing whatever we can to serve the needs of Gates County residents. We anticipate partnering with Dr. Dietermeyer and COA in whatever ways that we can to help make sure our students can swirl back and forth and take advantage of the best opportunities that they can for them. We can save residents thousands of dollars by not having to travel, but since this is in our service area, we can't come over into this area without being invited. And so we want to make sure that we do everything that we can to partner with you, collaborate with you, listen to you and what your needs are. And we're going to work with Gates County and COA as much as we can. So I want to leave this information with you. The first 2 pages are probably the most interesting to you. It just kind of shows you a bar chart of how many of the residents that we have served in our continuing education area and also in the curriculum area. As you can see, Gates County is among the top 4 county residents that we are serving. And nothing really earth-shattering or scientific about it, except that those are the rote unduplicated numbers. We are serving a lot of individuals in the law enforcement, public service areas, providing some certifications, but a lot of continuing education and upkeep of their skills. So we are delighted to be on your radar screen and on your list, and please feel free to contact me if there's anything that we can do to work with you and serve the needs of the residents. So with that, I just say thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to hearing from you and working with you in any way possible, any way we can. Any questions at all?
Yes, Dr. Elam, I would ask if you all saw the need and Gates County wanted to invite you to start a satellite program here in the county, you would have to go through COA in order to do that, if that was feasible or something.
Yes, sir. Legally, we officially do not serve Gates County as part of our service area. And so anything that we did, I would certainly want to venture out and make it a partnership or a collaboration with COA so that we're not stumbling over one another and we are working together.
Right. And I say that because we had talked with Dr. Dietermeyer about potentially putting the satellite program here in the county, and it was not feasible for them at that time, but I mean, it could be feasible for you all, if the circumstances were okay. But I'm just curious. But we'll talk about that.
Okay, yeah, we explore anything and keep everything above board. I like to work transparently to make sure that everyone is on board. Everybody knows what we're trying to do. And with all of those heads coming together, we can usually figure out a good way to make it happen that will benefit everyone.
Anyone else?
On chart 1, I guess that's daytime students only.
It's actually just the total number of students.
Right. So on chart 2 encompasses all educational programs that has the student body.
And chart 2 would be all of the students who are participating in our continuing education program. These are students who might be coming back to increase their skills or to...
Is that inclusive of chart 1?
No, it's a separate chart.
So in other words, if I looked at Hereford County, I got about 1,800 students. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We are, as you know, we are based in Hertford County, and Hertford County is primarily providing nearly $1 million of support for the institution, and we're giving them, of course, a lot more services because we are, in fact, in our service area to do that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you have any charts that are by age groups?
In the fact book that I provided for you there, you at your leisure can check that, but we do have some demographic information that's listed in there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good.
All right, no one else? Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Look forward to
Okay.
working with you.
All right, the next on our agenda would be the Gates County Republican Party presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, county commissioners, county manager, before I get started, I'd like to pass these out to you all. This is something that we've been putting together for a couple months now, and we call it the contract with Gates County. This is a promissory note, promissory direction. This is our roadmap, if you will. Now, some would say that we're telling the Democrats exactly what we're doing in 14. I hold no secrets. Some of the things that we have gotten together as the Madam Secretary is passing it around to the audience, as I've passed it out to you all. Some of the things that we have up here is the list, of course, of the officers. Due to the Treasury, Sidney Pierce III, and Vice Chairman Jim Miller being at work, they were unable to attend with us tonight. They have asked us to carry on, and of course, time waits for no man. Some of the information here is we want to make ourselves public. We want to make ourselves very aggressively available to any and all within the county. They have a right to know what's going on in their county, even if it's only 1/3 of the county. They have a right to know. The next in line we have is the list of things that we personally will be fighting for and we compel you 5 to vote for. Some of these will be no secret to you all. We held a meeting, and I don't have the specific date, however, it was a unanimous vote that we would restore the old county courthouse. This is something that the county, in my personal belief, needs as a healing. This is our bipartisan project. I've always preached bipartisan, and I aggressively look for those issues that we can clasp hands with the local Democrats to have that, completion of a project, something that we could all be proud of. The next is creating jobs for Gates County. Everyone needs a job, especially in today's society where we have $16 trillion plus in debt federally, and here in the state we also have a deficit that we are working towards to eliminate. The third is the implementation of the Junior Reserve Officers Training Course in our local high school. I personally ran on this platform last year. I am not letting up. This is something that we could certainly use for our young people in the high school. This is something that I've worked with individuals at the school board, and that we will be aggressively pursuing this as well. The next issue is the affordable housing and an active senior center for our local seniors. Even in the word, it says to rebuke not an elder. Our elders is those who have a big bag of wisdom, and anytime I get an opportunity to speak to one and to learn, I certainly greatly appreciate that. We owe it to our seniors to provide better living for them. Something that's already been mentioned here today, but the Republican Party is also aggressively pursuing revamping animal welfare laws. Now, some of us have various positions on this, but we all agree unanimously that we need to take a look what's on the books. I warned you all months ago that, as it was said today, perhaps it was potent, perhaps it was the truth, perhaps it was not. That's to all individuals. However, stacking the deck. I didn't ever use those words. However, that may be a good way of describing our present situation. We need bipartisanship on this particular board, And Chairman Jordan, we would like to perhaps submit names to you for future reference on any committees that would like to take place. And at the bottom, we have a fair, well-represented, and bipartisan support on all local issues and committees formed to shape our local laws. These laws are going to be with us for a while, and we're going to need bipartisan support for all of them, not just the Democrats, not just those that we know. I grew up with him. We're going to vote for him to go in or her to go in. No. Based off of expertise, based off of bipartisanship, we would ask to take a look at this. Also, the Madam Secretary of the Republican Party put together a questionnaire. I'm going to ask her at this time to come better explain that.
Hi. I had presented to the Republican Party several months ago this survey, per se, I guess, because when I graduated high school, I was concerned because I didn't know what I was. Growing up in Gates County, you're kind of a Democrat if you want to vote, is what I was told. Actually told by a former commissioner that if I wanted to vote, I needed to go register as a Democrat. So at 18, I went and I registered as a Democrat because I was told I couldn't vote. Further, I guess diving into it, I was into political issues, but I wasn't very political. I liked to kind of follow the news, but I didn't like to be in front of anybody. I didn't want to know anything. I would read a book occasionally, but it wasn't a passion. After I kind of got out of school and away from the guidance there, I was able to dive in a little bit more and a little more unbiased. And I found a similar survey to this and took it and found out, hey, I actually don't really line up with most of the Democratic values and beliefs. I'm more Republican. So I had asked the Republican Party and the officers for support on, which this isn't coming here, but we're going to go to the school board and see about potentially going into home bases in a high school, a Republican and a Democrat, one from each party, together to submit a survey that's agreed upon between both parties so that these graduating seniors that are turning 18 have the option to decide for themselves who they are and what they are, and they're not told who they are and what they are. I'm not going to say that I think that everything with the Democrat thing is wrong or everything the Republican thing is right. I'm saying I am 90% on this a Republican. That being said, me and 6 of my friends switched at one time because we were told in our schools that it was wrong. Basically what we're looking for is we want proper representation of both parties because both parties have awesome values to them. Both parties are fighting for the same thing ultimately. We're fighting for the community, for the states, for the country. But we have to have a balance of things on both sides. That is just to help people decide who they are, and also I think it would be an awesome link between the Republicans and the Democrats to go into this together and educating our youth. Graduating high school and not knowing who you are politically is not a good thing when you're going to school to be educated and to learn. So we have pulled together as a party on that, and while it's not listed here, we had attached the flyer in reference to it just so that we can kind of stand up and say, we don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, we just want you to understand who you are. So that was my stance on that.
All right. Thank you much.
In closing, I'll make reference to a situation of last year I want to make very public. Last year, we had a county manager who made himself very available to the Democratic meet and greet with Stan White. This individual could not be reached, nor was he present during the time of Bill Cook, who is now the newly elected Republican and has served in the state Senate. It is time to get rid of partisan ways of doing business. The old ways are now gone. It's time to work together. The Republican Party is not going anywhere. I will see to that. As far as anything that we could personally do, Chairman Jordan, rest of the commissioners, you have our support with the Old County Courthouse. It is absolute unanimously. We continue to work forward with that and look forward to that completion. To the county manager that's currently sitting, Mr. Mendenhall, I personally want to thank you and your office for your no partisanship. When I went into your office, I was given minutes, and I was foretold beforehand that I was not allowed to have. We do not want a repeat of the library. We want to move forward productively in our county. So this is the contract with Gates County. This is our promissory note. These are the things that we will be running on. These are the things that we're pushing forward. And commissioners, you have our support with these various issues. Thank you so much, and thanks again, Mr. Mendenhall. I appreciate you and your office. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda will be actually a discussion of a public hearing. You have in your package a nuisance ordinance, and also you have some guidelines on when ordinances have to have a public hearing. The only time that we are really authorized or required to have a public hearing for an ordinance to initiate it is on things such as zoning and budget issues, land development and so forth. But since this does somewhat affect land use, I'm inclined to, or I'm in favor of possibly having a public hearing so that the citizens of the county can be aware of it without us just approving it and implementing it without the citizens having some comment on it. But we have it in front of us. It's Chapter 80, and it's called Nuisances. And our county manager has prepared it. We've reviewed it and made some comments. And did you want to just give a brief overview of the ordinance?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. This ordinance, Chapter 80, anticipates a future codification of county ordinances pursuant to the North Carolina General Statutes, but by and under the authority of North Carolina General Statute 153A 121, a county may by ordinance define, regulate, prohibit, or abate acts, omissions, or conditions detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of its citizens and the peace and dignity of the county, and may define and abate nuisances. This is what we typically call the public health, safety, and welfare enabling legislation that enables county boards of commissioners to do all sorts of things to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. You find animal control ordinances enacted based on this section, nuisance ordinances, condemnation ordinances, any number of ordinances, including tall grass, standing water, public health type ordinances for solid waste. They all reference North Carolina General Statute 153A 121. So what this nuisance chapter does is it does 6 things. One is it provides for a way to abate, or in other words, control the growth of weeds or grass or noxious growth in a certain height within 100 feet of a residential structure that's occupied. It also allows for the abatement or the correction of the accumulation of animal or vegetable matter that is offensive by odor or by vapor, which would allow the habitation of rats or mice or snakes. It also controls the accumulation of solid waste or scrap materials that are not in compliance with the solid waste ordinance. It also addresses stagnant water. It also addresses the conditions that are detrimental to the public health. And it also gives certain exemptions, including right-of-ways and bona fide farms that would otherwise be exempt. So what this ordinance does is it provides for those folks living in close proximity to one another a method and a means to abate nuisances and public health issues that may come up. Bona fide farms are exempt, right-of-ways are exempt, but if you live in a neighborhood, there's a reasonable expectation that you can live there in peace and dignity without having offending odors from accumulated trash and garbage, noxious weeds that would harbor mice and rats, that would manifest snakes and have certain mosquito problems as well. So that's what this ordinance does. It was done at the behest of certain members of the board, and it is fully in compliance with the North Carolina General Statutes.
Thank you, County Manager. And I will say that we've had quite a few calls from citizens regarding these type of offenses, and this addresses it. And while we are not required to have a public hearing, I think it would be a good thing to allow the citizens to have some input prior to us implementing the ordinance, per se. So I'm going to open it up for discussion among the board.
I just want to make one comment. And this is back to my youth, back in the early 70s, when I started to work at Union Camp. I could go to work, drive my car, come back home, shut my car up, go jump in the shower, wash my hair, and I could smell. Now, I could open my car door and I could smell. You could also smell here in Gates County if the wind was blowing. Right. We spent millions, and I don't really remember how many, but millions and billions of dollars to get that corrected. Now, at International Paper, or the last parts of it, yeah, we'd improved that smell. There was $50 million a month passing through that facility. That was chemicals, payroll, supplies, in probably a geographical area of about 50-mile radius of Franklin, Virginia. And I say all that is that, you know, I don't want it to turn into that it's a dartboard for somebody to put into. Back in those days, the women's club over there, Mrs. Camp was in. Some of the members were getting on her about the smell in Franklin. Mrs. Camp boldly said, well, I tell you what, it smells like money to me. And it does. You know, I did some satellite work, a hobby that turned into a very lucrative sideline business. I went in a lot of homes. Let me tell you, I walked in a lot of homes that didn't smell good either. Vice versa. We're all people. One person raises his arm, he smells different than the other. So you do have to have some line of tolerance there for certain things. Now, I don't know where that is, but I don't want to go overboard that it gives a dartboard for somebody to throw something at. And I use Union Camp because it is very special. Everything I have accumulated or whatever really came through that place, and I appreciate that. Did I like the way I smelled when I got out of the shop? Nope. Oh, they turned that water on there. But I was tolerant of it because I knew where my livelihood came from. So this is a good thing because we do want to be very respectful of our neighbors, and we want to treat people the way we would want to be treated. And that's the number one thing, to treat other people the way you want to be treated. But some people take that to the extreme, and that it's all about me rather than us. And unfortunately, I don't want it to turn into that. I like it, and we need this because, there again, I take personal pride in my property, and I try to keep it that way, and I will hope that my neighbor will do the same thing. But he's an individual, so I had to communicate with him, and I had to negotiate with him, and rather than forcing it upon him. And so I want to be real cautious from that standpoint and make sure we are right and we got plenty of support. And like Mr. Jordan says, by all means, we do need people to have the input before I feel comfortable sitting here telling somebody exactly what they're going to do.
All right. Mr. Owens?
Well, I would certainly be in favor of having a public hearing on the matter. And to speak to some of Johnny's comments, number 5 here, we have the issue of violations of and regulations of the county health department would help somewhat in that matter. but I do understand what you're saying about the dartboard aspect. Yeah. I'm certainly in favor of the public hearing to get the county's input on the matter.
Journey?
I'm certainly in favor of the public hearing. I want people to speak up and say what they feel about it. There's a few little things on there that I look at and I wonder how we're gonna regulate it. You know, those are my concerns. How are we gonna regulate it? Is it gonna be through the sheriff's office? Is it gonna be through the inspections department? Those type things. How much time is this gonna take for somebody to go out there and tell somebody else your grass needs mowing, when we can ride by and see that? Some of those type of questions are my concerns.
I think the administration of it is outlined in the back of it, or it's actually on the second page. Kind of goes through the process, but anyway, Commissioner Hopper?
Yes. Certainly, I think we need that. I think all of us have gotten calls about grass in residential areas and all, but I agree. I would prefer a public hearing.
Okay. All right, well, it seems to be the consensus of the board that we will have a public hearing, and as such, County Manager, can we have it next meeting?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
All right. We would entertain a motion to authorize the county manager to advertise in our local newspaper a public hearing for the implementation of a nuisance for the county to control issues that affect safety, health, and welfare of our citizens.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Thank you. Get that done. Excuse me. All right, the next item on our agenda will be the item 8, which is the consideration of a request to set a public hearing for the closeout of a CDBG housing grant. I believe that is the grant that we just completed. That was the $100,000 planning grant where we did an assessment of the houses in the county, and that report was completed. I got a letter from Department of Commerce saying that all reports had been submitted, and basically it had been closed out, but we still need a public hearing to officially do that. So when could we advertise that?
Mr. Chairman, we recommend August 7th at 10 a.m.
All right, we'll entertain a motion to authorize a public hearing for August 7th at 10 a.m. for the CDBG housing grant.
Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, motion and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
and the 7th is when we're having our next commissioners meeting, is that right?
I believe it's the 7th, that's correct.
All right, the second reading of this adoption to occur on August the 5th up here. Is the 5th right or the 7th?
That should be the 7th as well.
Should be the 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to clear that up, thank you.
That's right. It would be the 7th. All right. Next item on our agenda would be our citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? Okay, Mr. Thomas Hill.
Two very important, quick things I'll like to add. In dealing with your section 6 with the public hearings and the nuisance. I want to say thank you. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what's needed in Gates County, is to be heard. I had a meeting with the NAACP as a active member, taking off my Republican chairman, putting on my NAACP member hat on. I had a meeting with them, and at the end of the meeting, they also was in support of the Old County Courthouse. Even with the history that is involved in that, they have expressed support with it, with their concerns heard. I also openly gave them my concerns, that the history with that Old County Courthouse, a gentleman stood on the bank at the edge of it and said that a good Republican was a Democrat Republican. So, we all have Band-Aids we need to apply, and having the county be heard, that's the answer to government. It's not to govern over the people, it's let the government hear what the people want from the government. And I also want to thank you once again for allowing the Republican Party to speak. We are humbled, grateful, and we are very appreciative. Chairman Jordan and the rest of the commissioners, we want to express our gratitude and thanks. And Commissioner Jack Owens, Commissioner Kenneth Jernigan, I certainly have not forgotten that tea and coffee moment. I would certainly like to still have that with you gentlemen. Of course, separate dates, you know. Get me to have coffee, and I might be there all day. So anyways, gentlemen, thank you so much. County Commissioners, thank you. And once again, Mr. Mendenhall, I appreciate your office. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, our commissioner comments. Commissioner Hopper, you want to start tonight?
Certainly. Once again, thank you for coming. I know it's been a relative brief meeting for us, but you know, occasionally we do have brief meetings. But listen, please let us know your concerns. That's what we're here for. Now, but remember, there's a lot of different opinions out there. Besides your own and mine, there are other people's. We have to listen to everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Journey.
Thank you for coming, and I'd like to talk to Ed Webb just a minute after the meeting about some animal ordinance problem. Maybe this can clear up a little something that Ms. Witt said a while ago about feeling like calls are being made and things are not being answered or listened to. This was an observation that I made also, so I know where you're talking about, and I've already discussed it with him to some degree. But thank y'all for coming.
Commissioner Hoare.
Obviously, I appreciate you being here again, and I've heard some very interesting things tonight, listening, and tell you another little story, and I've said this before, and some of you may remember it, and some of you may not. And it really talks about how you get things accomplished, and I think Mr. Hill mentioned that to a certain extent. Today, basically, you got a horizontal line that stretches across this country. You got your government over here, you got your people here. Then you got a vertical line. Well, that vertical line, right now, you got the Democrats up here and the Republicans down here. And you got a plus bar, is what it amounts to. It's called a 50-50 equalization with the equal quadrants. Unfortunately, lobbyists and everything enter into this country, and so what happens is, right now, the way I feel, that vertical bar has slid way over there. We, the people, whether you're Democrat or whatever, are not being heard, basically. You need to slide this bar back in the middle so that it's an equal representation with the constituents that you have or the people of the country. Because all of us want this country to be great and to grow. It was founded that way. And you don't have to always agree with someone. You have to be respectful of someone else's position and everything, and you try to reach common ground. And I really feel like that we have made great steps here in the last 5 or 6 months to trying to do that and reach out to the public and try to get that input and not be just a sounding board. It takes a lot to recognize that you don't get anything done except through other people. You yourself cannot do things alone. It just won't happen. And I appreciate Mr. Mendenhall very much from that standpoint of an open door policy, of being able to talk, discuss, agree, disagree, and come to a common solution. And that's what we all need to do. I like to win all the time, but hey, and I grew up that way, and I won a lot. But guess what? I started losing some too, and I found out that what my other person that I was competing with was feeling when he lost. And it takes a long time to grow. And I'm probably most proud of that in my life of anything I ever done, is knowing how to lose and be compassionate for the person that was on the other side. And try to be uplifting and encourage and let us all grow. Competition, and I've said it many times, is the best thing in the world to make you get better. When you don't have that drive, and I've said this time before, Jimmy Hunter, winning is not everything, but having the desire to win is. And believe me, I want to be on a winning team. And I feel like that we're making strides to that way now. I appreciate these guys up here. I appreciate you coming to these meetings, and I want to hear from you. When my phone rings, I'll talk to you. I might not agree with you, but I will talk to you. And most of you know that's true. So I appreciate you being here, and have a great night. I am.
All right, thank you, John. Jack?
Thank everyone for being here. We do have a good team up here. We do talk about these issues, not just here. We phone each other and talk about the things that we hear here and the things that we hear between the meetings. Thank you for your attendance and for all of your comments.
Thank you, Jack. I too want to thank everyone for coming, and I do want to thank our citizens for being a part of the local government, participating in the various committees, boards, and so forth that we have established to make the county better. And I would like to say to whether it's the Democrat or Republican, when you take office, all of a sudden you're no longer a Democrat or a Republican. You are the representative of the people of the county, of the state, of the nation. And I certainly agree that bipartisanship is something that should be encouraged throughout the governmental process. And I want you to know that I'm here for all the citizens, whether we're Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, or whatever. So, as I've always done, whenever you come to me, I'm going to respond to you. It doesn't make no difference what party you're from. So we thank you for coming, and we thank Dr. Elam for being here tonight, and we just hope you have a great night. All right. There's nothing else. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.